Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Atlanta, Georgia, it's time for Coach the Coach Radio. Brought to you by the Business RadioX Ambassador Program, the no-cost business development strategy for coaches who want to spend more time serving local business clients and less time selling them. Go to brxambassador.com to learn more. Now, here's your host.
Lee Cantor here, another episode of Coach the Coach Radio, and this is going to be a fun one. Today on the show, we have Hugh Glazer with WinterView Group. Welcome.
Welcome, Lee. How are you?
I am doing well. I'm excited to learn what you're up to. Tell us a little bit about WinterView Group. How are you serving folks?
Well, WinterView Group is a consulting practice that I have started 20 plus years ago. And in its original form, where it was back in the days when being a part-time or fractional CFO or chief financial officer was a kind of a unique thing to provide smaller companies with the support, knowledge, of experience of an experienced CFO, but on something less than a full-time basis. And today it's much more common than it was, but I enjoy working with entrepreneurs, small business owners, and trying to help them accomplish their goals and objectives. And through more and more of the years, I've been doing more work as a trusted business advisor. I'm also an arbitrator with the American Arbitration Association, so I also help folks with transition of businesses, both in terms of succession planning, buying, selling companies. But my real core sweet spot is just helping folks do a better job of growing and enlarging their businesses. And I tell folks when we work together, I like to ask them from what keeps them up at night from a business perspective.
Now, working on businesses' operations might not be obvious for new entrepreneurs, but if you don't get that right, you're going to have a problem. And I would imagine most entrepreneurs go into business with kind of big dreams and big aspirations, but they take the operation side of the business and the financial side almost for granted. Is that really kind of true, number one? And is that's your sweet spot? That's where you really can help an organization hum?
Oh, most definitely. And I often say, folks, no one starts a business or a company, or let me rephrase that. An entrepreneur starts a business or a company because they have an idea of a product or service that they want to bring to an audience. And they don't think about that no one starts a company because they want to get involved with running it and filing reports and returns and employees and issues. But, the bad news is that that's part of success. Your idea takes hold. You have an audience. You need to add a team of people, and now all of a sudden you've got a company and an organization, and those things need to be tended to. And as you said, that entrepreneurs and business owners don't think about that in the beginning, and they kind of start off with some bad habits that end up, if you don't get in front of them, it can create problems where all of a sudden there's no money in the bank, or they've got a lot of bills they're sending out, but clients aren't paying them. So those are the things I try to help folks think about. Simple ways. It's like anything. If you do it right in the beginning, then as you grow or scale, as we like to say these days, you're just adding, more pieces to a strong foundation.
And then these kind of things that you're working on are foundational. If you get these right at the beginning, you're giving yourself a better chance at succeeding in the long run.
Oh, exactly. Because the more you know about those aspects of the business, the better able you are to leverage this. And I think that's why it's important. And a lot of times some folks' perspective is, well, I'm good at the product part, or I'm good at the creative part, or I'm good at selling the business or the service terms, and they don't want to focus on these other pieces. And oftentimes what happens is wherever they're getting their bookkeeping or backroom resources for, they create a reverse dependency where they're almost dependent on the person that's supposed to be their employee actually knows more about what's going on with those operational mechanics of the business than the owner does.
Now, let's talk about how you work with your clients. What is typically the pain that this organization is having where they call you and your team?
Well, I've been very fortunately in the 20 plus years I've been doing this, that almost 100% of my new clients and new introductions are from referrals. And typically there is something that goes on where, hey, we're out of cash, we lost money. I also have a background in turnaround management, which is, distressed companies that either are bankruptcy candidates or on the potential border of that, God forbid. And it's, there's something wrong. The bank is telling them, hey, your financial statements that you're getting don't look right, or they need just someone to be their partner, almost, so to speak, to make sure they're on, a good path to getting accurate and timely financial reporting, as well as someone that will work with them and motivate them on strategy, and particularly this time of year as we get to the end of the calendar year, budgeting and thinking about next year and plans is an important component that successful companies, employ on an ongoing basis.
So now, almost by necessity, the people that you're starting to work with are under some financial pressure. So how do they take the leap of, well, you and his team are going to be able to, I'll invest in them to help me get through this? Like, how you're kind of joining them in a vulnerable state?
Well, I think it's having the wherewithal of being able to stand up or look yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I need some help here. And it could be that scenario I just mentioned where your existing bank isn't happy with the information you're getting, or you've been applying for loans and getting turned down. And you just realize you need someone, as we said on the intro, a coach or an advisor to kind of sit with you and listen to what your concerns and fears are, and help you kind of set a path and a program to hold yourself accountable. And being a sole business owner, if you don't have a partner, it can be a lonely place sometimes, and you can only throw so much on the shoulders of your family or your friends. They're going to be empathetic with you, certainly, but you want someone that can also be firm and guide you and say, hey, you need to change these practices. If you keep doing what you just described, nothing is going to change.
Now, when you start working with a new client, is it something that you have to really kind of immerse yourself in their financials and their business to really see where the opportunity is and where the kind of the holes in the boat are?
Well, to some extent, yes. I have, when I get started with a new client, or even before the relationship is formalized, something we have what I would call a discovery project that could be anywhere from 5, 10, 15 hours, just probing some of those things. I mean, solid financial and business practices are pretty straightforward and generic, but every organization is different. Everybody has a different style, and I like to try to find a path of fitting controls and practices that fit the needs of the particular company and what their business niche is. This isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of thing. Just to take a personalized approach. And part of my background has a theme of working with what I like to call creative people doing creative things. That while my experience base is very broad, I do have a lot of concentration in areas such as architecture, engineering, publishing, software design, education-related companies, and those sectors. And some aspects of that, and also the advertising industry as well, have a little different approach than someone that's in the manufacturing business.
Now, can you share maybe a success story? Don't name the name, but maybe explain what the challenge they were having and how you were able to come in and shore things up and take them to a new level?
Sure. And this, architecture space, I have very deep operating experience as well as financial experience with one of the leading architecture practice management systems. And it's a kind of thing today that a lot of companies underinvest when they're making a change or starting a system like that. So I got a call from another professional that was this client, and the story was they tried to put in this new software and they got overwhelmed and they haven't been able to send a bill out to clients for almost 90 days, and now there's no money coming in. So I was able to come in, help them assess and get the implementation of that system back on track. And in the course of that review, I happened to see you've got some other kind of holes in how you do your financial and business operation management. And we started a series of conversations that has led to my being there, what I call consulting CFO. And it's now, I think we're in our 8th or 9th year of that relationship. So I have many experiences like that. I had another client where essentially the controller stole a six-figure sum of money, a high six-figure sum of money, and just didn't show up to work one day. Actually, it's because this time it was around a Thanksgiving holiday. So I came in and helped rebuild the finance team there, and those folks, I think, were in our 5 or 6 year working relationship.
Now, you mentioned that your firm does coaching and consulting. How do you kind of draw the lines around each of those services?
Draw the line between what?
Coaching and consulting.
Coaching and consulting.
Because obviously they're different.
Well, yeah, they're different. Sometimes, a consulting is more focused on the accomplishment of specific set of tasks. Like, hey, help us find this piece of software, help us implement and train people. Whereas coaching is more about, I need to think about what the next generation of people running the company is going to be, or my other partners don't seem to be doing as much work as I'm doing, is being more directive and helping people think about how they can do a better job with their own efforts, and thinking just like you have on, coaching comes, I think, from a sports metaphor of someone that will help you work out the right play to try when you run back on the field, so to speak.
Right. Well, sometimes
sense?
Well, sometimes you need help, and sometimes you need a helper.
Exactly. And the coaching is more about working through the help and what other kinds of helpers, where oftentimes the consulting is being the helper. Exactly right.
So sometimes you roll up your sleeves and you're in there and doing some of the work, and then sometimes you're just helping them kind of find the resources they need to get the job done.
Right, and very often my longer term, relationships include a little of both. But I have other experiences and folks I work with that it can be almost all, the helping or versus the coaching, and sometimes that comes, and things have a cycle versus an ongoing support need.
Now, for you, what's the most rewarding part of the job?
You mean in terms of what I enjoy?
Yeah,
I like. Well, we're all in these kind of things. With having a traditional accounting background, being the helper sometimes has a sort of satisfaction because you can see the beginning and the end, whereas the coaching is sometimes a little less transparent and more intangible. But I think at the end of the day, I like the things I like about the coaching is it's sort of that old parable about teaching a person to fish, when you can see that someone is taking the lessons of the things you've discussed and they're applying them in multiple situations going forward. So you can see that it has an impact. So I like working with companies and business folks that are looking to improve and go forward. And I always try to find or enjoy situations where I see it's not only an opportunity for me to contribute and share my experience, but I get the opportunity to learn something new as well.
Now, let's talk a little bit about your role with the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Initiative. How did that come about?
Oh, the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses Initiative is a wonderful program. It's a joint venture in a way between the Goldman Sachs Foundation and Babson College, which is one of the leading schools of entrepreneurship. I think it's the U.S. News and World Reports for 20 plus years running as one of the best schools of entrepreneurship. And the program teaches business owners a sort of what I would say a business toolkit in a 13-week semester type format that they can apply to any business opportunity or issue in their business. And the way I became involved in it is I happen to be an alum of Babson College and involved in some similar kinds of things within the school itself. And I was just asked about whether I might be available to assist them with some initial parts of the program. And then I ended up getting involved as a virtual business advisor, and then became a lead advisor supervising in certain times up to 6 to 8 other advisors. So it's a wonderful program to help strengthen small businesses in this country.
And is that an ongoing program, or was that?
Yes, that's an ongoing program. It's delivered in a couple of different formats. There's partnerships with community colleges across the United States. I'm part of a national program that delivers this. It's just all the same content that's run virtually through Babson directly. And I can give you a URL if people have an interest in going to learn more. I'm happy to share that with you.
Yeah, sure. That'd be great.
All right, so the URL would be, of course, www.icic.org, and that stands for the Inner City Initiative for Competition, and ICIC is the National Recruiting Partner. And if you poke around on their website, I think it's under Programs, there'll be a drop-down that will show you the 10,000 Small Businesses program, and there's information there about the program itself and how you can apply, and depending on what part of the country would connect you with the either the national program or the regional community college.
Well, thank you so much for doing that.
It's a wonderful program. It's one of the best business experiences I've ever had. I've helped close to 200 CEOs go through that program, and I've got a wonderful network of I can say, friends and business owners across the country from it, across all kinds of business segments. And
it's giving an opportunity for folks who might not have access to this type of education. So thank you for doing that.
Oh, for those folks, it's tremendous, and particularly now, the program has got a strong emphasis on trying to help small businesses survive in these extra challenges of the last year or two. So there are some qualifying criteria, but they've been adjusted to meet the needs of companies that might potentially be struggling right now.
Now, a lot of our listeners are business coaches. Now, do you have any advice for them when it comes to their operations? Is there any tips you can be giving as we end this year and go into next year that they can be doing to help maybe manage their cash flow, prepare for growth, things that they can be doing strategically so they get into next year, running instead of kind of looking back and wondering what happened?
Sure. Well, I think for any kind of business, it's always important to understand what I call your cash flow break even. And while I'm a big believer in investing, and I think investing in marketing and business development is particularly critical when things slow down, and oftentimes in smaller organizations, that's the first place they cut back. But in the coaching sector, in particular, I think my thoughts that I learned myself is we are not all experts in everything. I think one of my strengths is I know what I know what I don't know, and I know how to find out about what I don't know pretty quickly. But to not sell something that you're not really capable of delivering. I mean, I very often will have a conversation with somebody, and once I understand what their needs are, I'll realize that's not my thing, either by my knowledge and expertise, or it may be something that, and this is probably maybe more on the helping side, that it's a task I'm not interested in taking on. So I think it's very good to know what your core sweet spot is. And very often, as human beings, we take the shotgun approach to things because we fear that, there might be of the 100 things I might be qualified to do, if I don't mention all 100 of them, I could lose an opportunity. And I have found it's much more important to kind of think of what your approach is as more of a shooting a rifle than a shotgun. And then it's important to know what your core expertise is and demonstrate that. And when you're talking with people, they want to know that they're dealing with an expert. The fact that they may have a question or something that's outside your expertise, it's important to leave that hook that they'll come back to, because someone that can be a jack of all trades and do everything and markets themselves like that doesn't leave anything in the prospects, like to retain, a way to retain, remember you. So you want to, maybe that's, after all that babbling along here, Lee, the answer is you want to be able to have an expertise and make a memorable presentation, and people will come back and resonate with that. Okay, this guy or gal was good at this or that. I was very impressed. Maybe they could find me someone of equal skill set that could do help me with whatever it is I'm asking for help for, even though it might not be their expertise. So that's what I would say. Don't be afraid of putting yourself out there as an expert, and don't try to be a jack of all trades in everything.
Yeah, we say here that niches bring riches. You want to be the go-to for something. And if you can pull that off, then you'll be remembered, and they'll think of you when they need that something.
Right. Your goal is to position yourself as a trusted advisor, confidentiality, discreet, those criteria that I think we all would agree would be important in this kind of work.
Now, if somebody wants to learn more about your practice and get a hold of you or somebody on your team, what's the website?
It's WinterViewGroup.com, all one word.
Well, thank you so much for sharing your story today. You're doing important work, and we appreciate you.
All right. Thank you, Lee. I appreciate this opportunity.
All right. This is Lee Cantor. We'll see you all next time on Coach the Coach Radio.